Welcome to Scarlett and Natalia ToysReview. We got a brand new book here. Scarlett picked this one out. This is her new favorite book today. Here we go. It's called Flat Stanley and the Very Big Cookie. Alright guys, let's begin our book. Please remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And you're going to enjoy this book, Flat Stanley and the Very Big Cookie. Here we go. Stanley Lambchop lived with his mother, his father, and his little brother Arthur. Stanley was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and half an inch thick. He had been flat ever since a bulletin board fell on him. There's Stanley. Look, he is flat. And that's his brother Arthur and his parents. And look, they're going to Pete's Sweets. People in Stanley's town liked having a flat boy around, especially since Stanley was always willing to lend a hand, or even a whole arm. He helped the librarian reach books that slipped under the stacks. He helped the dentist smooth out the new wallpaper in his office. And when the baker was busy, Stanley helped him frost cakes, 2 at a time. But one day, Stanley and Arthur went to Pete's Sweets and found that the baker wasn't busy at all. "What's wrong?" asked Stanley. "It's the baker in the next town," said Pete. "He's taking away all my business." "But how?" Stanley asked. "What does he have that you don't?" "2 words," Pete said. "Cake pops." "Oh, cake pops. Yummy," said Arthur. Stanley elbowed his brother. "What?" Arthur said. "They are." "It's true," said Pete glumly. "They are yummy." "So why don't you bake them too?" suggested Stanley. "I never copy another baker," said Pete. "I'm the one with the big ideas. The tart trend, I started that. The cupcake craze, me again." Then Pete held up a flyer. "Main Street Food Fair this Saturday. Walk our street, eat a treat." "This is my chance to get back my customers," said Pete. "I have to think of the next big idea by Saturday." He threw his hands in the air. A cloud of flour flew up. "If I don't, my bakery is doomed." That night, Stanley and Arthur tried to think of an idea for Pete. Mini muffins, bite-sized brownies, everything had been done before. "How about a nice coconut macaroon?" suggested Mrs. Lambchop. The boys didn't know what a macaroon was, but it didn't sound like anything that could beat a cake pop. The next day was Friday. Stanley and Arthur stopped by the bakery after school. It was a mess. There was frosting everywhere. One whole table was covered with cookie dough. Candy balls rolled around on the floor. Look, there's candy balls on the floor. And then there is flour. This thing is cookie dough. There's cookie dough right there. Uh-oh, look what's happening. "Mr. Pete," called Stanley. "What's going on? Whoa!" Stanley slipped on the candy ball. His flat arms made a windmill as he tried not to fall. Uh-oh. Pete came out of the kitchen just in time to see Stanley land. Smack! Face first in the cookie dough. Uh-oh. Let's see what happens next. Arthur peeled his brother off the dough. There was a Stanley-shaped dent in it. "I'm so sorry, Pete," said Stanley. But Pete was staring at the dent with a strange smile on his face. "The next big idea," he said. "It's big?" Look at Pete. Pete started racing around the bakery. The boys didn't know exactly what his plan was, but they pitched in. Stanley and Arthur helped mix a giant batch of cookie dough. They rolled it out on the table. Okay, here they are rolling. Then Pete pulled up a chair. Stanley, would you climb up here and fall on the dough again? Okay, said Stanley, but does it have to be face first this time? Pete grinned and shook his head. So basically he was saying, yes, you gotta do it face first. Stanley got up on the chair, took a deep breath, and fell backward. Perfect, said Pete. Arthur, pull away the extra dough. Pete and Arthur pulled and pulled. Then they helped Stanley stand up. Whoa! On the table lay a gingerbread boy. It was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and a half an inch thick. Just like you, Arthur told Stanley. Only good looking. When the cookie looked even better when it was baked and decorated. Wow, said Stanley, this might sound weird, but I want to take a bite of my head. Not now, said Pete. We have 3 dozen kid-sized cookies to make. The next morning was the food fair. The lamb chops walked down Main Street. Look at that, said Mr. Lamb Chop. Look at that, said Mr. Lamb Chop. There was a huge crowd outside Pete's Sweets. They were waiting to buy kid-sized cookies. Look at this, new. And they're selling the cookies. All right. But there were 2 cookies that weren't for sale. Those are for you, said Pete. Thanks for saving the day. I always knew I had the sweetest boys in the world, said Mrs. Lamb Chop. The boys groaned. They were so happy. And took a bite. Oh, look at that. Stanley and Arthur took a bite out of the cookies. And that is the wonderful end of the book. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning into our channel. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and click on the other videos. We'll see you in the next video of ours. Click on the other videos on our channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye, guys.